Okay, hey guys. So uh, today I am gonna try to run a scaled down version of my convention game. I put a lot of the figures on the table. I'm worried it may be a little too much. We'll see. Um, but uh, and there may not be a lot of room to maneuver. But in the real battle, my sense from reading the Hotin War campaign book is that there wasn't a ton of room in the real battle, so that may be an interesting tactical challenge. I also today wrote up some rules modifications for Baroque by Dadi E. Piombo, published by Dadi E. Piombo. It's this rule book here, which I've tried before and I didn't quite get into it, but now I've reconsidered it. Mostly, I think it'll be good because I can. There's a lot of interaction, which I think is good for a convention game. It's not like one side's going to be waiting. Every unit can always react, and I think that would be more compelling for a convention game. But the specific rules modifications I've made is because we're talking about this is the Eastern Renaissance world. There's penalties if you move and shoot. I've decided to eliminate that. All of these soldiers, whether they're Ottoman or Polish, they're trained and they're taught to move and fire. That's kind of their whole thing. Even the Lancers, have ranged weapons, but I'm going to get to them in a minute. The other thing I'm changing is the kind of reaction rules. So in the book, in the regular rules, only certain units can react. They have to take a discipline test to do like reaction fire or countercharge. Right now, I may just say any unit can do that because, again, these kind of armies were cavalry armies. They're meant to kind of move, and I want to kind of get the sense that it is kind of like a swirling sort of melee type of situation. But if I play through that and decide it doesn't quite work, I may just stick with the rules as written. I also drafted new army lists. I didn't really like the army lists in the book for the Ottoman Empire and Poland, Lithuania. So I wrote up new ones, and also I had to add some things in for units that were not in the book, like the wagons, and I didn't really like some of the Ottoman units. So, and also the Ottoman list didn't include Tatars, so I changed that. Now I may have even at this level already put too many figures down for my limited space, but we'll see. I mean, if it's too little space, then I'll just play through it and see what happens. Before I get into the gameplay, I will go ahead and go over the units. So in Baroque, the armies are made up of battalions. I think they have to be at least 3 units. For this kind of demo test game for myself, I'm not going to follow that. But so what we have for the Polish side is that there will be two there's really 3 battalions in the Polish army. But how I'm going to split it up, because I want to design this for 2 players. So there will be the player that commands the middle, but they'll be getting 2 battalions. So I'm gonna have each wagon train be equivalent to its own battalion, basically, because again, reading the Hotin War book, that's how it comes across that each wagon train was commanded individually. So the center player is going to get this unit, this battalion, this wagon train here, and then the main Polish cavalry. Then the second player, if this is a 4-player game, the second player will get, this will be 1 battalion as the wagon for logger. Then this is just going to be the command figure. He's going to be representing command for both the cavalry and the wagons. I don't have enough command bases, so just bear with me on that. And then they'll also have the left flank cavalry, and then they'll also command the right flank infantry. So basically, each time it's the Polish turn, each player can only activate one of his battalions. So there's going to have to be a choice made whether they want to activate the wagons to protect the flanks, or they want to activate the cavalry or the infantry possibly. And that's also, again, in the Parodowski book about the Hotyn War. It said that one of the Polish problems was, it was like a really good plan. And I think you can see, the idea of, okay, they got the flanks protected, the wagons provide firepower, but you can imagine this takes a lot to coordinate. And that was kind of a problem for the Polish army, among other things. Now over here on the Ottoman side, I have let me zoom in a little bit here. On the Ottoman side, I've got, this will represent the Nogai Tatars. I apologize that they're not fully, I didn't put the flock, that's an eyesore, but I wanted to just get these on the table. So these guys will represent the Nogai horde, which seem to have been actually more numerous than the Crimean Tatars, but in terms of tactics and gameplay, as far as I know, the Nogai were also kind of step horse archers, so won't be a big deal there in terms of the rules, because I wrote up listings for the army list. We have, I believe this is Yusuf Pasha's division, which is depicted in that book as being smaller on the map. So I'm gonna do that, and that's Shah Abbas, but today he's Yusuf Pasha. So again, I don't have enough command figures. Here we have the Center Ottoman Battalion, which is composed of the Middle Cavalry Battalion. So that's so we have Ganulu there on the left, and then we have cavalry with lances there in the center, another unit of Ganulu, and then we have the Janissaries in the back. Now the Janissaries, I didn't put that many of them on the table, but they're going to be their own battalion, and we have our Janissary Aga back there. And then here we have the Crimean Tatar battalion. So for the Ottoman team, kind of similar. It'll be the center player, the one player will take the center with the Janissaries and the middle cavalry units, and then the other player is going to take the other Ottoman detachment, Ottoman regular detachment, and then both wings of Tatars. Okay, so to make this video, more kind of better viewing, I'm not going to, play through everything on camera. I'm going to stop because probably I'm going to need to, roll, check rules and stuff, and that kind of gets boring. So this is kind of the first part, and then I'll play through a little bit and see what happens, and then then it'll cut to another part. So, all right, let's go. Okay, so it was a pretty eventful first phase of the game. So the Ottomans activated their middle battalion. We had a successful charge here, so that pushed these poles back. And then as a consequence, because when you lose a melee in Baroque as a cavalry, you don't file in or fall behind. The units behind you get pushed back. So that happened both to the winged hussars and the panzerni here. Now, because of the wagons, I decided for their rules, so they basically have, a full arc of fire, um, as long as they're not firing into a friendly unit. So for both times, I said, they were going to fire just as the Ottomans there closed in. So these guys did get disordered. So these Ottomans did get disordered, but they did win their combat. And then over here, the winged hussars did try to countercharge, but they did not pass their discipline test. They rolled a 1, unfortunately, and they actually got pushed back. Although, I did roll for their defense with my rules modification that, if you have a lance, you have to be able to get up to speed. So if they had passed their countercharge roll, I think I probably have to make a provision for that if it's a countercharge, you are able to, match the other unit, and roll, you roll at full power basically. But in this instance, they didn't pass it, so they lost some dice in their attacks. And then the other units, Ottoman cavalry, just fell in behind them. Now over here, these Ganulu got disordered because the infantry were able to shoot at them and hit. That would be the Ottoman turn. Now we'll shift to the Polish infantry, or the Polish side. And I should also note quickly that out of all of only this unit suffered casualties. The Hussars got pushed back, but they did not actually suffer casualties. They're just disordered. But these Panzerni did take 1 to their VB, their Baroque VB. Well, no, it's not. That's not the name, but it's called VBU. But basically, it's the number of dice they can throw in combat. It's like their unit value. So now they're only going to be able to roll 4 dice plus their impetus bonus in combat. So that's what happened. And then now we'll see how the dice work, but now these Ottomans may have opened themselves up to fire from the wagons, because in my rules, my rules for this scenario, I said that the wagons have can fire basically 2 light artillery pieces. I have to think about what to do if they can move, or they can fire their muskets. So there's musketeers in all of them, and then I'm gonna say that the mounted artillery is also not really restricted by movement because it's a light gun. I'm just gonna assume that there's more than literally modeled on the figure, or they can kind of shift it around. It's not like a heavy gun, which if you haven't seen it, that's what the gun looks like. It's like a falconet. It's not like a heavy artillery piece. So I think what I'll do, I'll say that they can only fire one or the other, but we'll see what happens with the Ottomans. I think for the Polish commander, doing a little bit of role playing, getting your center pulsed back, at least one of these units is going to have to, the middle is probably they're going to probably try to rally and charge back in. So yeah, an interesting first phase. Now we'll go to the Poles, and I'll summarize what happened on that turn. Okay, it was another eventful phase. So the Panzerni unit that was here. They recovered and they rolled to charge. The Ottomans had a successful countercharge though, and managed to win the melee. So that unit actually got routed, I think, if I did the procedure correctly. I hope I did. And then over here though, the winged hussars, there was a close combat. The hussars charged. The Ottomans did countercharge, but the hussars won, and they did a pretty big damage to this Ottoman unit here, because they suffered they're down to 1 VBU, which in Baroque, basically. That's like the number of dice you throw in a combat or in shooting. So they're not in good shape. And also, I think as I play these, I can kind of see, with the interpenetration rules, if this unit gets pushed back because of a failed, because of a retreat, now the unit behind them, it can't really do much the next turn. So that's what happened. I think the only other moves I will make are, well, we can still play through. So maybe I'll just play through this because we're talking about the middle battalion here, except for the right flank wagon. So I think these guys, they're going to try and charge in. So let's see if they can do it, if they have enough room. Now, I haven't quite had the problem this evening of, or it hasn't really come up of, the charging units not being able to get up, their max movement because it's 12 centimeters. That's probably because of the size of this table, because they don't even need a charge bonus here. So, okay, so they're going to charge. And I think the Ottomans can still countercharge. If I am correct, but that unit did use a reaction, so they may not be able to countercharge. So I will actually look this up on camera. Okay, initiative and activation. The actions of each unit are executed before activating the next unit. Okay. Fire or melee must be completed unit by unit. All right, that makes sense. Countercharge. Units can only react against a unit that caused them to react. Okay. It doesn't say you can't do one. Oh, unit can only try to react only once per turn. Yeah. All right. So, okay. Now, one thing with the rules I'm not quite sure is, since the Poles are technically the inactive player on the initiative, does that mean the Ottomans can't do reactions? I'll have to read that up, because basically when you win the initiative, if you win the initiative, you become the active player. And the other side, which in my case is the Polish army, they are the inactive side for this round. But would that preclude them from, the Ottomans then, from reacting? I'm going to have to read the rules more carefully, but I'm just going to keep going. But okay, now these other Panzerni, these are actually Lithuanian Cecora, but they're going to be Panzerni this evening and in the game. So we're going to crash in, and then, so in my army list, the Panzerni get 6, because their VBU is 6, and then they get an impetus bonus of 3, so it's 3 additional dice. So in these rules, I thought you ended up rolling fewer dice, but I was kind of wrong. So let's just see how many hits this unit of Poles gets. So, and you need to roll pretty high, so they've only got 1, so this might not be a very good charge, unfortunately. Okay, this I think turned over to 6 when I moved the dice around, but there's only 1, and then the Ottomans, the Ottoman Spahi, I gave them kind of the same profile. I may modify that depending on, one thing I do need to think about, though, is a lot of these troops in the real battle were from, like, basically the Arab provinces are very close, so very hot climate. So what I may do is, before the game, I may, as the game master, like, roll up to see how many of the Ottoman units are affected by the weather conditions, basically. So maybe they don't get as high an impetus bonus as some of the others. That might be a nice surprise, because then, like, I would show the players the army lists, and then I would say, but wait, you know, if you're the Ottoman player, these factors are working against you. And I'll probably have something for the Polish army too. I did want to come up with a table of like campaign conditions, but anyway, all right, let's go ahead and roll. Okay, let's see what these Spahi do, and double 5, so we need double 5s and 6s. Okay, so the Ottomans win this melee again, unfortunately for the Polish side. So now the Poles, so they took, so that's only 2 hits actually, and they have VBU 6, so they need to get 4 or under. Okay, they pass, but they do need to retreat, so they are disordered. And 3, so they're going to retreat to 2 base units back. Now, fortunately, this time for the Polish side, there's no, you know, well, fortunately and unfortunately, there's no other unit that they're like getting stuck on. So, but they're just going to fall back and they will be disordered, which isn't the worst thing in the world. Now, I think I am going to just call these guys. Now, there's a difference in the rules in the Baroque army list, the way they're written, between Spahi and Galloper cavalry. For my purposes, I think I'm just going to count them. I'm going to count them as the same. Put a better way to put it would be, if they have lances, they're gallopers. If they don't have lances, they're like a light cavalry unit, I think. So that's how I'm going to handle that. Okay, but they're disordered. And so that was not a successful charge. And that's all the Polish side can do for this turn. I think this video's been running pretty long, and I think what I'll do is break it up into 2 parts for YouTube, so it's not a giant 1-hour video or something. Or no, I'll just continue, and yeah, I'll just continue. Okay, so the next part, we have to, I think the next part I have to then roll, yeah, we have to roll initiative again. So I gave the commanders the same value of +2 for this test just to see. So let's go ahead and roll Polish initiative. So that's a 7 + 2 is 9. Roll for Ottoman initiative. 5 + 2 is 7. So the Polish team, so the Poles take the initiative, but now the way Baroque works, we have to activate a different battalion. So the center is, you know, they've kind of done what they can. Now it's going to shift to the other battalions. And I think what we'll do is, now this is where some strategic thinking comes into it. You know, because we could activate these guys. Now they're pretty close. I think that they wouldn't be allowed to do that, to be so close to the wagon like that. So I'm gonna just push them a little bit. But, you know, actually what I think I'll do for this Polish first move is activate this wagon, and I think they'll fire light artillery. So I think I'll do that, and then I'll wrap this video up, because I've kind of played through some of it, and hopefully that gives you guys an idea of what I'm doing with this game. So so I'll go ahead and look at the artillery procedure, because they're going to fire. What's the profile for wagons? So now the wagons, I had to give them like kind of a different special rule, because normally you only roll with the 1 number of dice, but for their artillery profile, I gave them 2. So they get 2 dice, and let's go to the artillery. Go to shooting, firing, and oh, that's melee. We want artillery. Defensive fire, point blank. We want opportunity fire. Okay. So, all right. So I think we get 2 dice normally. So they're going to fire into those Spahi. So we get, so it's a 6. So it's at least 1 hit and a 2. But then I think they get. Let's see, modifiers. And we're just a light cannon. So we're at, I think, yeah, we're definitely at point blank. We're within, so we get 2, so they get 2 additional dice, so maybe they'll get some more hits. Nope. Okay, but they did get 1 hit, so it's going to be, now the Ottomans are forced to take a cohesion test. So they're going to have to get under 5 or under. Okay, they pass with a 1. All right. So, yeah, I think actually I'll just wrap up this battle here. I don't want to make this like a 2-hour battle report video. It's already kind of long enough. So I hope this gives you an idea of what the scenario looks like. I don't have all the figures on the table. At least hopefully it looks nice, you know. But I can already kind of see some interesting, I think, challenges that would be fun for the players to deal with. You know, the dice obviously always make things interesting, especially like in the opening turn. You know, Ottomans get the initiative, and then the Polish team side bungled some dice rolls. But I forgot to add, so finally, you know, for these guys, they would be disordered because they did take a casualty. Casualty, but it's not a permanent loss. They're just disordered. Okay, that's the video. It's not a full gameplay, like I said, but, you know, it gives you an idea, I think, of the game, and I hope you all liked it, and I'll talk to you in the next video.